Hi, this is David of Bionic Turtle. Welcome to the focus review for Part 1, 2012 FRM. This is the second of 8 focus reviews in Part 1, and so we're covering quantitative methods or quantitative analysis. That's the second topic in the FRM. Quantitative methods is a huge topic in Part 1, so we're divided in half. Here is the second of 8 focus reviews in total, and so we're going to cover the econometrics really. And then in the next focus review, which will be the third of 8, we'll finish quantitative with the other concepts, including, for example, volatility. And so here are the key ideas mapped directly to the chapters that are in the assigned Stock and Watson's Introduction to Econometrics. And they really are random variables, distributions, statistical inference, and linear regression. Now, obviously, this is a whole set of ideas. It could take a full semester. Our agenda here in the focus review, I will remind, is not nearly to cover all of the aims in the study guide. You could refer to the longer videos for that. Rather here, I've selected what I think are the small minority of the most important concepts, just with the agenda to give you a boost for the exam. Also, to remind, I've recently revised and streamlined the practice question sets, and my colleague Suzanne has uploaded them. And we've also streamlined them so there's a little more organized and fewer of them. So we've collapsed. For example, here this P121 stock has all of our practice questions for stock chapters 2 through 7, basically all of the econometrics in one PDF document. And then we have a second PDF document. Again, the PDF is the format, and this is a practice question sets where we have detailed questions and answers tied to each of the aims in the study guide. So the second one is on distributions. That's discrete and continuous distributions. Also, Jorrian's Monte Carlo methods, where this is mostly in part 1 really a qualitative, not a quantitative type of set of concepts that we need to know. And finally, Hull's chapter on volatility. So those are the 4 PDF documents that contain detailed practice questions and answers for your review. Now in this focus review video, it's a few concepts, but mostly it's a case study approach, so to speak, where I have selected specific questions that I think are be most helpful for you in a focus review. And so that includes one question from GARP's practice exam. I hope as a FRM candidate you've seen that GARP publishes practice exams. They're okay, they're not great. And then the 5 other questions are questions I've selected from our own set that I've written, that I also think are representative. So those are what we'll look at. Now that first core idea here is random variables, and here are some essential ideas. Random variables are characterized by probability distributions. This is the essence of risk measurement. And then just a reminder that random samples, that term has a technical meaning for us, random samples. It means that the random variables are drawn from independent and identical distributions. There's really 2 things in here, independence and identical distributions. So this IID is oftentimes an assumption that we're making. Hopefully most of the time it's explicitly stated, but sometimes implicitly it's assumed when something is referred to as a random sample. Our basic tests employ the so-called sampling distributions, of which there are 4. The normal, also known as the Gaussian, the student's t, which looks a lot like the normal, it's just a little heavier tailed, and the chi-square, and then the F distribution. Now, it's well known popularly that the normal distribution doesn't really characterize asset returns in the real world. So we know that if we're assuming a normal and the actual asset returns are fat-tailed, then we're going to underestimate the magnitude and likelihood of a loss. However, I remind you, and this is in the Stock and Watson, that the central limit theorem justifies the normal distribution for the sample average. So that chapter goes into some more theoretical